What's going on, guys? Just returning back to my channel, and tonight was a good night. Tonight was AEW Full Gear 2022, and I'm gonna tell you, man, they give it all they did the best thing they can do is wrestle, professional wrestling, and they did all of that. The whole show was fucking good, man. From the pre-show to the main show, to from the beginning to end, and yeah, man, it was crazy. And damn, let me tell you, it was fucking crazy, man. It was fucking badass and shit. And damn, it was good. All right, enough talk. Let's get to the pre-show, and it's 2, 3. Yeah, 3 pre-show matches on this one. Alright, so we're gonna start with the 10-man tag team match. Oh, before that, I gotta get my drink real quick. My Halloween cup. I could, wake up during this thing. Alright, 10-man tag team match with Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and very evil, mysterious partner with Rocky Romero and versus the Factory. The night's in-ring action kicked off with 10-man action as AEW All-Atlantic champion Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, and Chuck Taylor promised a very mysterious, very evil partner to battle the Factory's Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, Lee Johnson, Cole Carter, and QT Marshall. A straightforward tag match gave way to an explosive finish as Danhausen emerged from the jaws of comedy, a darker, more intense, and aggressive version of himself than we had seen to this point in AEW. He obliterated Marshall with the German suplex, poured a jar of teeth in the mouth of Comoroto, and blasted him with the kick for the win. As a match, this was a basic spot-heavy match that saw everyone get their stuff en route to the re-emergence of Danhausen. The question now is whether this is a permanent change for the character or if it was one and done. If it is the latter, it will be interesting to see how long it can sustain and whether it is met with any more credibility than the previous incarnation. Best Friends, Cassidy, Romero, and Danhausen defeated the Factory. So yeah, it was a good match. Pretty good. Alright, Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament Semifinal, Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage battle in the night's next match, a spot in the finals of the Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament finals against Ethan Page at stake. Starks sold injured ribs caused by Lance Archer and Cage just 24 hours earlier on Rampage. They were the target of the Machine's attack on Absolute early and often forcing the charismatic babyface to fight back from underneath. He did just that, delivering a destroyer pile driver and putting Cage away with the Rom-Com for the win. I'm sorry, I can't really say that word. Starks is very clearly the future of the company, a charismatic uber athlete who can do everything a star in pro wrestling needs to be able to. He showcases that every time he is on television he needed this win. It will likely knock off Page in the finals to earn the title opportunity. How he fares in that title match will say a lot about how the company sees him moving forward. So yeah, Ricky Starks defeated Brian Cage. So yeah, and the main event for Eddie Kingston versus Juan Akiyama. Yeah, this was a singles match. Eddie Kingston was emotional as he talked to Renee Paquette prior to the contest with Juan Akiyama. The enormity of the match and what it meant to him obvious he rode that emotion into the square circle where he wasted little time unloading on the man who was so highly influential to the pro wrestler that he would become. The hard-hitting, strong-style workers beat the hell out of each other, trading chest brandy chops before tossing each other around in exploder suplexes. Akiyama, I hope I said that right, rocked Kingston with an exposed knee but could not keep King down. Kingston absorbed, withstood, and blasted Akiyama with a Blackfoot fist for the hard-fought victory. This was extraordinary and made that match more special by what clarity meant to Kingston. This is a guy who last few months have been tremendous, whatever to say the least, but whose passion and love for pro wrestling have never been in question. To see him have that moment against a man he considers a hero was inspiring. The post-match address by Kingston was great too. Everything about this was phenomenal. So yeah, top moments, nothing matter as cheerful show of respect by Kingston to Akiyama after the match. It was the raw emotion that makes pro wrestling so damn special at its very best. Hey, people at home, it's 7:53, 40 seconds. Order the goddamn pay-per-view, Kingston told the audience. So yeah, yeah, it was 7:53 around that time. So yeah, it was almost close to the main show. Alright, let's get to the main one. The main card, steel cage match, Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. Yep, in a steel cage match. So yeah, this is the first match out of 10 matches. So yeah, once upon a time, Jungle Boy and Jack Perry and Luchasaurus shared a momentous moment as they captured the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The successful influence of Christian Cage and a shocking betrayal later gave way to this grudge match between childhood friends inside a steel cage to kick off the show. Excuse me. The dinosaur masked Big dominant the action, overwhelming his smarter opponent with his size and strength advantage. He bloodied his former friend and partner and intimidated referee Bryce Remsburg when the official attempted to buy Perry time. Cage found himself dragged to the back by security, but without his presence, Luchasaurus continued to dominate that until a massive destroyer steel chairs and tables came into play. The result of the fight spilling outside the cage after Christian Cage unlocked the door. Perry was repeatedly forced to fight from underneath, and he did, overcoming his opponent's advantages to deliver an elbow drop from the top of the cage and apply the snare trap of the submission victory. This was a great way to open the show that started somewhat slow but built into a brutal, hard-fought, grueling match that saw the right guy go over while adding a signature moment to his highlight reel. This was a star-making performance for Perry, who finally appears to be back on track after some questionable booking over the last 2 or so months. So yeah, Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeated Luchasaurus. So yeah, Jack Perry bled a lot. A lot. So yeah, this was like to his tribute. This is a tribute thing for his father, you know. You already know who he is. But yeah, it was a good match, man. Alright, the second match. AEW World Trios Championship match. The Elite versus Death Triangle. Alright. The Elite returned from their suspension Saturday to challenge the AEW World Trios Champions. Death Triangle in the 9-second match entertained the arena to carry on My Wayward Son by Kansas and giving their most ardent supporters everywhere another reason to tout their perceived greatness and transcendence on Twitter. Or something like that. The party match style of AEW's trios matches was front and center at early as Kenny Omega, Nick, and Matt Jackson took the fight to Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Penta El Zero Metal keeping them off guard with their unbridled energy and high-flying arsenal. That Triangle attempted to slow things down, but a hot tag to Omega popped the crowd and brought the Elite into the match. The action broke down, as it tends to do in matches of this type, with Pac trying to get Phoenix to embrace his dark side and use the Timekeeper's hammer to his advantage. After several near false finishes, and trauma-filled moments, Phoenix finally did, rocking Omega with the weapon and pinning him to the shock and awe of those inside Prudential Center in Newark. The match was great. That was never really in question. The finish was a major shock to the system and appeared foregone conclusion to Lee, who would win in their combat in the end. This was less about Omega and the Bucks and more about Phoenix's descent and to heal them by doing what was necessary to ensure victory. Omega and the Bucks will get their win back, maybe as soon as the winter's coming edition of Dynamite, but the emphasis of Phoenix and the shocking outcome helped elevate the past the spot a Happy Trios match. It was prior to development. Oh yeah, so yeah, that Triangle defeated the Elite to retain the tag team titles, and it was crazy. Yeah, during that match, I was going to say, before I get to next match, third match, the fans were shouting "Fuck CM Punk" and Colt Cabana. So yeah, I was like, oh shit, But yeah, it's exactly "Fuck CM Punk" and all that stuff, So yeah, fuck him. Anyways, let's get to the third match. TBS Championship match. Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose. The Native Beast, Nyla Rose, challenged TBS champion Jade Cargill in no other competitor had to disappoint, testing her abilities and forcing her on the defensive repeatedly throughout this title bout. On more than one occasion, it looked like Nyla Rose would become the first woman to defeat Cargill, but the incredible athlete withstood her own Jade finisher being used against her to down Rose and score the pinfall victory. The match was, to put it kindly, disjointed. It was never blah blah blah. I'm sure the question is okay. Jade Cargill defeated Rose to retain the TBS championship belt. So yeah, before that match started, Vin Guerrero and them did a tribute to their Vic Guerrero's late great husband Eddie Guerrero with the car, So yeah, that was good. That was a good entrance. All right, the fourth match. Fatal 4-way Ring of Honor World Championship match. So yeah, count just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, yeah, fatal 4-way Ring of Honor World Championship match. Alright, so we're in the fourth match. Chris Jericho's best merchant of the Ring of Honor World Championship belt dominated the belt to full gear. Saturday, the Ocho defended his title against fellow Jericho Appreciation Society members Sammy Guevara and Blackpool Combat Club challengers Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. The build to the match was a hard MGF mid, to say the least, but this was a fantastic 4-way match featuring guys who know what it takes to deliver in high-profile situations. Jericho held his own in there with Castagnoli and Danielson, while Guevara showed up and showed out to continue what was been a bit of a career resistance over the last month. While very easy could have been had developed into an overbuilt mess that focused too much on dissension with the Jericho's Appreciation Society and Blackpool Combat instead of storytelling, blah blah blah. Chris Jericho conspiracies, blah blah blah. So yeah, Ian Smojo. So yeah, this was a good match too. So yeah, Jericho defeated Guerrero, Castagnoli, and Danielson to retain the title. So yeah, on here it says Ian Ricoboli disputed the idea that Jericho is the greatest Ring of Honor champion instead of pointing Smojo and his 600 plus day reign as the title holder. Danielson and Castagnoli showed respect before unloading on each other, knowing full well what was at stake in the match. Guerrero pulled Jericho off a pin, igniting a fight between them and Tim that culminated in the Wizard applying the walls of Jericho. The Spanish God faded Jericho into an embrace, then delivered the GTH and a soothing star press for a stunning near fall. Danielson delivered Bozaki knee to Castagnoli for another great false finish. Guerrero delivered a Spanish fly from the top to Danielson moments later. Castagnoli delivered the neutralizer on his BC teammate. So yeah, Chris Jericho defeated them and still retained the title. Alright, the fifth match. Saraya, yeah, there you go. Versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. This is the fifth match. Alright, after 5 years away from the square circle, Saraya returned to in-ring competition Saturday, battling Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in a grudge match that turned intensely personal in the weeks leading into it. With her brother Zach watching from ringside, Saraya found herself on the defensive early. Baker targeted her neck, repeatedly looking to exploit the injury that dominated the compensation in the build to the match. Saraya fought back, and the action remained relatively even down the stretch, with each woman kicking out of the other signature moves. With frustration mounting on both sides, Saraya delivered consecutive rampages for the pinfall victory. So yeah, it was a good match. Saraya defeated Dr. Britt Baker. So yeah, before the match started, when Saraya did her entrance, Saraya was in emotional tears because she hasn't wrestled for 5 long years. So yeah, on here it says emotion painted the face of Saraya as she stepped through the curtain and made her way to the ring. Baker taunted her opponent's brother at ringside as she continued to target the neck of Saraya. The embrace between Saraya and Zach after the match was a great moment, and one of those that transcended in what happened between the ropes. So yeah, Saraya defeated Britt Baker. Alright, the sixth match. TNT Championship match, Wardlow vs. Samoa Joe vs. Powerhouse Hobbs. Three of the biggest and baddest in AEW did battle in the next match as TNT Champion Wardlow defended against Ring of Honor World Television Champion Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. A well-paced, hard-hitting battle of badass heavyweight saw Joe steal the win after blasting Wardlow with TNT Championship after War Daddy uncorked his powerbomb and symphony on Hobbs. He choked out Powerhouse to score the victory and become a dual champion. So yeah, Samoa Joe defeated Wardlow and Hobbs to the TNT Championship. So yeah, he's the new TNT champion. So yeah, Wardlow flew through the air with the variation of Jeff Hardy's Whisper in the Wind, wiping Joe and Hobbs out to the delight and awe of Jim Ross on commentary. Joe wiped out both opponents on the floor with a toad suicida. Wardlow uncorked his power symphony only for Joe to use the TNT belt to score the win. Alright, so 7th match. 8, 9, 10. We're almost there, guys. Alright, no DQ. No count out match. Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Excuse me. There were no natural born thrillers to be found. No, that 70s guy, Mike Awesome or Vampiro. But the next match on the night's lengthy card sure felt a lot like 2000 WCW as Sting and Jeff Jarrett stood across the square circle from each other once more. The Icon partnered with Darby Allin to battle Double J and Jay Lethal in a match that was not nearly as hot as the names involved. Would you have believed the babyfaces took the fight to the heels early and often punching them for the living hell they had made their lives in the weeks leading in the show? Heel surged back thanks in the large part of the Monsters Sanctum, whatever, but the teamwork of the babyfaces allowed them to negate him late and put Lethal away to score the win. So yeah, Sting and Darby Allin defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Sanctum side caught Allin soaring off a ladder, carrying him to the ringside area and tossed him onto the entrance ramp. Unprotected, Sting jumped out of the stands and wiped out Lethal and Sonja Dutt on the arena floor. Sai delivered a chokeslam to Sting, but the Hall of Famer kicked out at two. Allin scaled the ropes for the coffin drop, but Jarrett rocked him with a guitar shot to the back in midair. Sting delivered a scorpion death drop while Allin and added a coffin drop, eliminating Sting from the picture. Alright, so yeah, Sting and Darby Allin defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal again. AEW Interim World Women's Championship match. Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. So yeah, this is the 8th match in the main card. The intensity was at high early on in the clash between former friends Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter for the former AEW Interim World Women's Championship. The Aussie sought to retain against her British counterpart, taking her to the floor and laying into her with the hard-hitting strikes. Hayter responded, dishing out a few of her own and seizing control after a hot start by the champ. The physical dowdy ramped up and Storm mounted a combat late. Rebel, though, cut off her momentum with a shot to the face with the women's title. A bloodline Storm, her nose crimson, continued to fight through everything Hayter threw at her. When Dr. Britt Baker DMD showed up and delivered a stomp on the belt, she kicked out of Storm Zero. The challenger followed suit, kicking out of the same move as chants of Jimmy rose from the stands. A hate breaker scored yet another 2 count as the challenger expressed frustration over her opponent's wrestling. So yeah, all the guts determination proved to be for naught as Baker exposed a turnbuckle pad. Hayter rammed Storm face first into it and scored the win and title of the area. The contracting teams covered up for Hayter's arrogance at point, potentially setting the stage for that to come into play in the bout. The near fall of Hayter's Storm Zero on the champion was great stuff, and the chorus of boos that spilled from the stands suggested they hooked the crowd. The energy that exuded from Hayter and the fans after her victory was exactly what it should have been, proving that her win meant something to the fans who had supported her to this point. So yeah, Jamie Hayter defeated Toni Storm to win the AEW Interim World women's championship belt. So yeah, she's the new women's champion. Alright, the ninth match, AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Acclaim versus Swerve and Our Glory. For the third time, the Acclaim's Anthony Bowens and Max Caster battle Swerve and Our Glory. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, the former's AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line. Bowens was forced to overcome a shoulder injury that the challengers exploded early and frankly throughout the match. Less than the 100%, he was clearly the weak link early on. That's fucked up to say about that. The young star powered through and with Caster overcame a united effort by Strickland and Lee to regain the titles. With frustration set in late, Swerve smacked his partner, causing Lee to walk out on him, and finally they claimed to down low member of the challenging team for the successful title defense. So yeah, hold on. Excalibur put over the fact that Billy Gunn did not accompany the claiming daddy ass, did not want his emotions to overwhelm him and cause Bowens and Caster the title. The pop for the claim was not as loud as it had been in recent months, likely the result of a long bloated pay-per-view card. Strickland attempted a suplex on the guardrail at ringside, but Bowens reversed into one of his own on the floor. Bowens delivered a reverse Rana to Lee to create a separation and made the tag to Caster. Caster delivered a crossbody to Lee, driving him into the guardrail and bending it in half. The challengers delivered the fall from Glory, but Caster kicked out. Billy Gunn arrived and preventing Strickland from snapping Caster's fingers with a pair of pliers. A feint similar to that stuff by Daddy Ass. Strickland, finally losing his patience with his tag team partner, slapped Lee, the Limitless One, walked out on his partner, leaving Strickland to fend for himself. So yeah, the Acclaim defeated Swerve in Our Glory to retain the tag team champions. So yeah, the Acclaim are still the tag team champions. So yeah, thank goodness. And Keith Lee did the good thing. He walked away. Alright, the main event, which is the 10th match. Gotta drink more of this. Alright, the main event, AEW World Championship match, Jon Moxley versus MJF. Alright, here we go. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he did not exist. Yes, he does. Saturday night, in the main event of Full Gear, the devil revealed himself in the form of MJF. After weeks of vowing to win fairly, of claiming he had to win straight up to prove himself, he revealed conclusion with Regal and defeated Jon Moxley to win the championship after blasting his opponent with a pair of brass knuckles. The match started, interestingly enough, with the companions reversing roles. Moxley worked heel throughout, while MJF showed signs of the gutsy, resilient babyface whose destiny awaited him. Late match, referee bumps and the Regal sliding the aforementioned brass knuckles to MJF erased much of the goodwill the challenger belt throughout and had fans greeting him with a mixed reaction as he covered Moxley won the title and realized his bodyhood dream. So yeah, I'm gonna do more of this. Excuse me. Chance of MJF and new champ spilled from the stands prior to the opening bell. MJF teased a dive, but instead ran the ropes and posed for the fans' adulation. Moxley beat down his challenger, then mockingly bowed as the fans rained down with a chorus of boos in his direction. MJF delivered a tombstone power driver on the ring apron, but screamed in agony his unprotected knee in excruciating pain. Moxley capitalized on the injury, countering his opponent's piledriver attack with one of his own and driving him through a table on the floor. Moxley kicked the hell out of MJF's knee and applied the figure four. The champion delivered an avalanche paradigm shift, but MJF got his finger on the bottom rope, forcing the break in a spot similar to that of Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 33 versus Chris Jericho. MJF pulled referee Bryce Ramsberg in the path of Moxley and then retrieved the Dynamite ring at the demand of Regal. He tossed away. Referee Paul Turner was bumped too. Regal slid MJF the brass knuckles and the challenger proceeded to use them. So yeah, MJF defeated Jon Moxley to win the AEW World Championship belt. So yeah, MJF is the new AEW World Champion because William Regal gave him the brass knuckles to knock Moxley out. Ooh, I can't see what Claudio and Bryan Danielson and that other guy has to say about that Wednesday. And Jon Moxley, especially Jon Moxley, because man, it's gonna be on fire stuff. So yeah, man, that was a good pay-per-view. Anyways, this was the last pay-per-view for AEW of 2022, but next month will be Ring of Honor, the final of this year too. So which will be on August 10th. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed this pay-per-view and stuff. Yeah, it was great. So what are you gonna say? So yeah, anyways, that was it. And sorry I've been making a lot of videos lately and stuff, and I know it wasn't much, so whatever. I know you guys don't care if I don't post much of videos, reviews or whatever, but anyways, that was it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Laters.